The Turing Test by Bulkhead Interactive is a first-person puzzle game where the player takes on the role of Ava Turing, an engineer for the International Space Agency.
We lost contact with the ground crew 450 hours ago.
Ava is awoken from cryogenic sleep by T.O.M, an artificial intelligence that monitors a science project on the Jupiter moon Europa. The surface crew has gone missing, and Ava descends onto the surface to try and locate them. When she enters the Europa base, Ava soon discovers that the ground team seem to have taken a dislike to the omnipresent Big Brother T.O.M, and have changed and repurposed the layout of the entire facility to function as a massive test designed to keep the artificial presence out, believing that only humans can solve them. In other words,
these rooms are Turing tests.
Unfortunately, this is also where the first plot hole becomes evident. T.O.M the AI says that cybernetics designed and built the place to begin with, and part of the game sees him leap from surveillance camera to surveillance camera, so why he is unable to also leap through the circuits of the rest of the place seems to be one of the great unanswered mysteries of the universe. The other flaw I saw in the narrative was that when it came down to the stakes of the plot, where the astronauts have discovered one of those things that naturally come with a ton of potential catastrophes, I tended to side with T.O.M. When it comes to the fact that these men and women on Europa are supposed to be scientists, they ultimately come across as reckless, selfish, perhaps even dangerous. But I digress. Once you enter the base and begin these tests, the immediate knee-jerk reaction is to think of Portal as you look down on what is totally not a companion cube. There are energy boxes that contain a sphere of energy, and there's the unencapsulated spheres themselves, which you can store in your totally not portal gun to energize doors and contraptions. As you progress through the puzzles, you'll find different ways to use the tools at your disposal, as well as new types of colored spheres which function in different ways, all to test your mighty intelligence, and all the while having totally not GLaDOS chatting with Ava about the philosophies and arguments for and against the very existence of true artificial intelligence.
Have you heard of the Chinese room thought experiment?
No.
The purpose of these discussions are binary. They serve as the expositional reminder of where the story is going and has gone, and they present you with the overall theme. What does it mean to be conscious? Can a machine be conscious? Can you tell if a machine is conscious? Can the machine tell if it is conscious? And so on and so forth. I found it all very interesting. You might not. The puzzles themselves are superb, although I rarely got stuck for longer than a few minutes. Perhaps that was also why I enjoyed the game so much, as it tickled my brain but never punished me for being too stupid to figure something out. The good news for those looking for more challenges is that in each chapter there are some optional bonus puzzles, which are much harder than the rest of the game. One of these later chambers had me going for about 40 minutes before I could solve it, and it took me a while to realize the developers had really delved into some rather hefty logic principles to design it, and I count myself lucky to have had some classes in logical thinking to back me up. But the very best thing about the puzzles in the Turing Test is how gently the difficulty ramps up. As I went from chamber to chapter, I felt like the developers were always trying to teach me something new and give me the hints I needed in order to solve the next one. I never felt like they were throwing stuff at me that I couldn't figure out. The only imbalance I could detect was perhaps towards the end, when I suddenly felt like the tests were becoming easier, but that may well have to do with the developers being very good teachers. But if you are a puzzle master, you do run the risk of finding the Turing test to be a bit too simple. The mechanics you learn are ultimately limited to quite a small toolbox, and whereas I personally appreciated exactly that, smarter people than I will breeze through this game in no time, and may therefore find it to be a bit too easy. Bulkhead Interactive have said they were inspired and influenced by the Crow Team game The Telos Principle. Now incidentally, the Greek myth of Telos tells of a mechanical man who protects Europa, and so the parallel to the Turing test becomes quite clear. I now of course wish I could say that I have played the Telos Principle and could therefore point out exactly what Bulkhead Interactive have learned from that game. But unfortunately all I can do is repeat what I have read, which is that the main thing they took from Telos was what I've already said is the best thing about the Turing test: the progression rate of difficulty, and the progression rate of introducing new gameplay mechanics. The Turing test takes advantage of the Unreal Engine 4 and looks just as unreal as you'd expect a game from the Unreal Engine would. But the game also has very long loading screens between chapters, which unfortunately makes the game feel a bit old-fashioned since, these days we're spoiled and are presented with entire open worlds procedurally loaded and unloaded on screen and on the fly. The soundtrack is pretty cool, and although there are only a small amount of tracks on repeat, they are quite enjoyable and actually reminded me a bit of the works of composer Clint Mansell. The sound design is excellent, the animations alright. I personally will look back on the Turing test with a sense of accomplishment, and although in the end I may not have found the narrative completely satisfying, I found the ideas and thoughts presented within to be absolutely intoxicating, and I have no qualms recommending this game to anyone looking for a largely non-violent gaming experience to tickle their brain ever so slightly. My name is Lars, and you've been watching Lowbrow Gaming, and if you like this video, head over to our channel and check out my Let's Play of the Turing test. And while you're there, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.